Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to another chubby emu video, and this one is a chef ate gas station nachos for dinner. This is what happened to his limbs. I reacted to one about a kid who ate multivitamin things, and yeah, it went crazy, and you seem to enjoy it. It went down quite well, and I'm down to do more of these reactions. I like the channel a lot, and I feel like reactions to this could be really fun. And I saw a lot of comments of people saying they hadn't seen this channel before, etc. Other people being like, yeah, they like this channel. They would like me to react to it. So, I mean, if that's a continuous trend and you want me to react to more of this, and this goes down well, and people just want me to react to it, I'm up for it because I like this sort of content. This is the sort of stuff that I will just watch whilst I'm editing sort of videos, etc. Just have it on in the background or traveling and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, if I can react to it, I would be down for that. And if there's other channels similar, please let me know because I could react to them as well. But we're going to jump into this. Obviously, go to show the channel some support, all that kind of stuff, because obviously, if you haven't seen it before, it would be good if you could just show them some support, etc. But yeah, we're going to jump into this. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more videos of mine. And let's just jump into this and see how this can go wrong. How can you eat nachos and stuff? Like, I don't know, are his arms gonna have to be cut off? What's gonna happen here? We're gonna see. This is why I love this channel, because it's such niche topics. Like, you go into this random stuff that you would never really think would cause these problems, but hey, we're gonna see.
A chef ate gas station nachos for dinner. This is what happened to his limbs.
Also, getting nachos from the gas station with cheese is a bit nuts. I would not, I mean, that's for me personally, I would not do that, because I mean, when I was in Vienna the other day, we had nachos at the cinema. They're not it, man. Unless it's just not right. But the cheese just doesn't... It's not like... It's just not a nice mix to me. The cheese is just weird. It's like that cheap nacho cheese. I don't know. It's not for me. But hey, if you go to the... You go to the gas station to get nachos and cheese, fair enough.
GP is a 34-year-old man presenting to the emergency room with shortness of breath and blurred vision. He tells the admitting nurse that he knew something was wrong when he thought he had to burp, but a lot more than just air came up.
Oh,
2 days
God.
ago, GP left home to go on a road trip. He was a chef who recently sold his failed restaurant. His life was going nowhere, so he left home with no intention of ever coming back. At a gas station, hours later, GP needed to make a pit stop. He was hungry. Coming from the culinary world, he had high taste in food, but nothing like some sketchy nachos and roller hot dogs for dinner, he thought. Immediately after finishing his...
I do not like this footage, man. This footage is making me cringe. Oh, the sound.
gas station dinner, GP felt wonderful. He stopped at a nearby motel to finish his day. On the road the next morning, GP didn't eat breakfast because he felt like there was a rock in his stomach. As he kept driving, he noticed that it was getting harder and harder for him to breathe. His throat and chest were getting tighter. He had a history of asthma and allergies, and he's in an unfamiliar place now, so maybe close the windows, he thought. As the hours go by, GP becomes increasingly short of breath. A tingling in his fingers begins to develop into pins and needles as his vision starts to double. As he pulls into the hospital parking lot, he feels the mass in his stomach getting heavier as he dry heaves.
This has happened quickly, man. What, he had the nachos the night before and he's already having these side effects?
On the pavement. He crawls into the emergency room where we are now. At presentation, GP appears ill and uncomfortable. His skin is flushed and he complains of dry mouth. Both physical and neurologic exams seem to be normal. His heart rate slightly elevated, his blood pressure a little low. If he's in a place that he's never been to before, having eaten food that he normally doesn't eat from a place that he's never eaten at, then this kind of sounds like an allergic reaction, a little delayed in onset after eating his gas station dinner of nachos and hot dogs. This anaphylaxis is pretty easy to treat as the medical team starts to give him medicines for it. They start with diphenhydramine, also known as Benadryl. This blocks a chemical called histamine, which explains why it's harder for him to breathe now. Histamine is released when the body finds allergens, which is something that causes the immune system to react inappropriately. Inappropriately in that it causes the blood vessels to dilate, allowing more of the immune system to enter the site to react with those allergens. And the swelling is happening to his tongue. It's closing up his throat.
Tongue? He's getting swelling in his tongue. What the hell? I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know you could get swelling in your tongue.
It's making it harder for him to breathe, so blocking histamine should stop this from happening. If his blood vessels are dilating, then we need to constrict them, so GP was also given epinephrine or adrenaline to tighten up all his blood vessels, causing vasoconstriction, to counteract the vasodilation because of his allergic reaction. He was rehydrated with intravenous fluids as he seemed to recover. But several hours pass. GP's vision starts to double. He describes what sounds like heartburn to the nurse. 2 more hours pass and an oral antacid solution arrives from the pharmacy for him to drink. This tastes like chalk, he thought. I really don't want to drink this, he thought. A few sips and another hour in, GP is physically no longer able to drink the rest of the mixture as he becomes unable to swallow. He frantically tries to signal this to the nurse because he's no longer able to speak now.
Bro.
Immediately, the medical team reevaluates GP as they draw blood from him to test. He can now only communicate with them in writing. He tells them that he feels like he's suffocating. His eyelids start to droop as his heartbeat is now a little bit elevated, and surgery and neurology doctors are called in. A new examination finds that GP's reflexes are still normal. His senses are still intact, but the muscles of his eyes now have some weakness on abduction. An MRI of his brain returns normal. Nothing's wrong here. Over the next 3 hours, a wheezing sound.
Wait, the muscle in your eye, does that mean you can't keep your eyes open as much?
Of his eyes now have some weakness on abduction. Over the next
It does, that's mental.
3 hours, a wheezing sound could be heard from GP as he tries to breathe. Weakness of his face and tongue worsen as breathing becomes dangerously shallow. An examination of his throat finds that he's unable to swallow not because it's swollen, but that the muscles of his throat are actually paralyzed, meaning that whatever is happening to him, it's definitely not an allergic reaction. Weakness in his arms and legs were found as he's admitted into the intensive care unit. At 36 hours after eating his gas station dinner of nachos and roller hot dogs, GP is no longer able to use his arms and legs.
36 hours and it's led to this. What has happened at this nacho gas station? What are they putting in their sausages or whatever? What?
He's no longer able to breathe on his own as he's intubated and a tube is put down his throat for a machine to breathe through. He can still hear. It looks like he can still respond to pain, but he's now trapped in a body that can't breathe for itself, that can't speak for itself, and can't move by itself.
Mate.
This rapidly progressive, generalized weakness descending from the muscles of his eyes to the skeletal muscles of his limbs gives the medical team some clues as to what's happening. GP's brain MRI returned normal. The weakness that he developed was symmetric, meaning that it was about equal on both sides. Together, this means that there probably isn't anything wrong with his brain or his spinal cord, something that we would call a central cause of acute weakness. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord, and it's responsible for the senses. GP can likely hear the medical team. He can likely feel the medical team, but he can't speak to them because his throat is paralyzed. He can't see them because he can't open his eyes. He might be able to smell them, but he can't breathe on his own because those muscles don't work anymore too. And because the peripheral nervous system operates on the muscles, then this could be where his problem lies. But how did this develop? In the emergency room, medical staff saw his problems progress from nausea and double vision, shortness of breath, to being unable to swallow, unable to speak, descending rapidly to muscle paralysis. If he no longer has control over his motor function, then this means that the problem could be first coming from his nerves only, it could be coming from his muscles only, or the problem is from the junction of where the nerves connect to the muscles. There aren't too many things that are a problem of just the nerves that cause muscle paralysis and doesn't affect the brain. Polio is a virus that destroys the nerves and causes paralysis. West Nile virus does it too. But these are just like any other infection at first, meaning that it would cause things like a fever and respiratory illness lasting a few days before causing motor dysfunction. But GP never reported a fever or recent past illness, so this is probably not a problem of just his nerves. But how about his muscles? Some muscle diseases can cause paralysis, but those don't usually affect the ocular.
What muscle diseases even are there? I can't even say that. Muscle diseases are there? I can't think of any muscle diseases. I can't even say the word, so I mean, there we go. But so from now, I don't know how long it's been, let's say 40 hours, he's paralyzed. He can't breathe, he can't move. and we don't know yet. He's probably going to go into it, but I'm assuming it was probably a sausage or the cheese because I don't know how the nachos could do it. I'm going to say the sausage. Probably the meat. Something was wrong with the meat. Maybe it was there for 2 days or something. 2 days longer than it should have been. But what the hell? Like some sort of bacteria on the meat or something. But mate, that is insane. Flipping hell, that is brutal as well. Like he's like literally not able to do anything, and it's not even that. It's 40 hours after he ate it. Like, jeez.
And respiratory muscles together, so we're probably clear here too. But how about the neuromuscular junction? This specialized region is where the nerves connect and communicate with the muscles. If nothing is wrong with only the nerves and only the muscles, then it means that GP's paralysis could be because no signals are being relayed between the two tissues. You see, muscles don't contract by themselves in normal function. There has to be motivation behind the movement. Your brain controls your muscles, and it's the nerves that deliver that signal to them by releasing a chemical at this neuromuscular junction. We've already established that GP's brain is fine, meaning that somewhere in this line, that signal is getting lost. What if the messenger chemical is there to deliver, but the muscles can't receive it? This would happen because the body's immune system has attacked the parts of the muscles that receive that signal. But if the immune system is involved, the sharp decline in function isn't going to happen as quickly as 48 hours. GP would have also had a past history of this disease. It would have been obvious, but he doesn't have it. So we can assume here that his muscles aren't damaged and he can receive those signals, meaning that his problem is because his nerves are not able to release the chemical to signal to his muscles to contract. Specifically, the decline in function started with his ocular and respiratory muscles descending to his limbs, meaning that the proteins that control the chemicals release from the vesicles is being disturbed by a toxin. This disease is called botulism. As the blood test results,
I've heard about this. I don't know what it is, but it's when you eat food. It's like when bacteria gets on food that's really old, right? And well, he's gonna die then, isn't he? I swear, if you get that, you're screwed. You're done. I mean, I don't know actually the percentage of like the mortality rate, but I swear you're done for.
Results from his ICU admission return 4 days later. GP returns positive for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria known for producing the botulinum toxin, which cleaves the proteins involved in the nerve vesicles that release chemical into the synapse of the neuromuscular junction, preventing the signals to the muscles, paralyzing all of his muscles, and causing his respiratory failure. But where would this bacteria come from? Downstairs in the hospital, in the emergency room, another patient presents with the same paralysis, ocular motor weakness, and respiratory failure as GP.
Did he eat from the same place? No way this gas station is poisoning this many people.
Days later, this patient too tests positive for Clostridium botulinum, as the State Health Department and Center for Disease Control were already contacted in advance because this reportable disease must be notified to authorities in case of an outbreak, because possible widespread paralysis of many people can have very bad outcomes. Antitoxin was received from the CDC and administered to GP as soon as the medical team suspected botulism. This protein binds to the toxin floating around in his circulation and prevents the nerves from absorbing any more of it, but the antitoxin isn't able to reverse the damage already done. It cannot do anything about GP's paralysis or his respiratory failure.
Oh my god, what? So wait, is he like this forever then? So there's no reversing what's happened to his body. Holy shit.
The CDC tracked the past activity of GP and the other patient. The common activity between the two was consumption of food from the same gas station.
Wow.
Laboratory analysis of the nacho cheese found Clostridium botulinum and was determined to be the cause of this outbreak, as 8 other people in the local area were reported to have the same poisoning.
What was this person doing to their food? Were they shitting on their food? What the hell has been happening at this gas station? Unless they were given food that was just already contaminated, but like, bro, what the hell?
This is an incredibly rare source of botulism, which typically comes up in canned food because for the bacteria to become active and produce actual toxin, both the temperature and the pH of its environment must absolutely be spot on. And in this case, some unfortunate mishandling of nacho cheese enabled it to be spot on, as it affected all these people. The thing about botulinum toxin is that you might know it as Botox, the most potent toxin known to humans, which happens to be naturally occurring.
Huh? Wait, Botox is made from botulinum, whatever. Wait, what? Wait,
And
what?
potent, meaning that the smallest amount on the order of less than 1 nanogram or a billionth of a gram can be fatal. Meaning humans have obviously found out ways to use it therapeutically. Because it prevents the release of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction, it inactivates the muscles that pull on the skin. Some of those are the ones that cause wrinkles. But it doesn't just stop there. Sweat is modulated through a similar process, and botulinum toxin injection produces a temporary chemical denervation of the sweat gland, resulting in local reduction in sweating. In sensory neurons, botulinum toxin interferes with the nerve's ability to communicate pain through modulating the release of acetylcholine, thus treating migraines with injections in specific areas of the head and neck. All of these can work as injections and not spread throughout the body because they're delivered locally and the toxin doesn't travel very far. But for GP, he ate it in the gas station nacho cheese. It absorbed through his stomach and small intestines as it entered into his circulation, spread systemically, and bound to neuromuscular junctions, impairing oculomotor function, paralyzing all 4 of his limbs and his respiratory muscles as it wreaked this havoc over a time span of just a couple of days. If therapeutic Botox injections only last for a couple of weeks before wearing off, then the good news for GP is that even if the antitoxin can't reverse his paralysis, the toxic effect will eventually wear off. But when will it exactly? Over the next 3 weeks, GP stayed paralyzed and on mechanical ventilation. The first sign of improvement was when he was able to slightly abduct both of his eyes. Then slowly, he was able to keep his eyes open, move his tongue, and breathe on his own. And after spending 6 weeks at the rehabilitation hospital, GP was able to return home from a road trip that he never intended to return from.
That is crazy. This is insane. I thought he was done for. The body's managed to claw its way back and fight back. Yo, that's a mixture of the insane strength of the human body and also, or the resilience of the human body, and also flipping the medical technology or whatever. Like, just a mixture of two. How you manage your body's just been paralyzed for 6 weeks. Probably longer, 7 weeks, I guess, overall. And it's managed to fight its way back. And now you can function, I guess, like a normal human, maybe he'll say. That's insane.
With limited mobility and function that fully returned after 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't take...
This guy is so elite, man. He explains it to simple people like me, and it baffles me. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. I was fully expecting this to end not good, because I feel like he does have ones where they end very badly. But yeah, if you want more reactions to his channel, let me know in the comments. As I said at the start, go show him some support. Obviously, I'm sure most of you know who he is, but for those of you who don't and you enjoyed it, of course, you can click the link in the description to his video, and then you can find him through that. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.